Hello and welcome to TSR Tutorials, the enterprise that puts the tut into tutorial. And this is a specially recorded tutorial for Neil, Mark, Terry and Barney. So hello everyone, and I'm going to talk about home information packs, in particular the changes that are coming into effect on the 6th of April 2009. I've just realised I'm still wearing my pimping outfit from what I was doing earlier, so let me just get rid of that. That's better. Right, home information packs. 6th of April introduces us to a new form called a property information questionnaire. Where a property goes on the market on or after the 6th of April 2009, you have to have a HIP which includes a property information questionnaire. Now I'll talk about timing in a second, but just to look quickly at the property information questionnaire, this is it. You should have had an email from me already with a link to the document, so you can print it out and look at it while I'm talking about this. It's probably worth having a quick look. The seller will need to complete this form, and it contains quite a bit of practical information that was absent from the old seller's information form, the property information form. This now asks questions about storm damage, insurance claims, flooding, that sort of thing. So probably I assume that the document, the property information questionnaire, is going to be given to the seller at an early stage, I would imagine by the estate agent. That would seem to be the most efficient way of dealing with it, and the estate agent can then provide it to the solicitor, or it can be sent direct to the solicitor by the seller. There are two parts to the property information questionnaire. Part one needs to be completed by the owners of all properties, freehold and leasehold. Part two only needs to be completed where you're selling a flat, which obviously will be a leasehold property, and that asks detailed questions about the lease. By way of a digression, it's probably just worth mentioning that the only compulsory document relating to leasehold property in a home information pack is the lease itself. When HIPs first came in, there was going to be a requirement for service charge information, other bits of leasehold information. Now the only compulsory document is the lease itself. That's not new. That's been the case, I believe, since last October. So you've got your completed property information questionnaire. It's in the hands of the solicitor, and the solicitor needs to put together the home information pack before the property can be put on the market. In fact, the HIP needs to be with you before the property can be put on the market. That is an important change to the existing rules. Where the property is put on the market on or after the 6th of April, you must have a home information pack. It's not good enough anymore to say that the HIP components have been applied for. That exemption was called the first day marketing exemption. That is abolished with effect from the 6th of April. So a property that goes on the market from the 6th of April and after the 6th of April needs to have a HIP. The old rule probably wasn't quite as useful as everyone assumed it was, because in fact you had to have a HIP from the moment that the energy performance certificate was in being, and as I understand it, there's never been much of a delay with EPCs anyway. An important point to realise is that you don't need to do anything at all in relation to properties which are already on the market before the 6th of April. You don't need to put anything new with the HIP. What you've got is fine. You don't need to add anything to the HIP. The existing HIP will be perfectly satisfactory. It is only in respect of properties that go on the market on or after the 6th of April where you must have your HIP, and it must contain, amongst all the existing required documents, it must now contain the property information questionnaire. It's probably just worth refreshing your memories as to what the compulsory component parts of the HIP are, because in fact there are 3 documents that can join the HIP a little bit later on. They don't need to be there from day one. I'm going to try to get this right, but I think I'm right in saying that the compulsory components of the Home Information Pack for a freehold property are the index, the sales statement, official copies where the property is registered, and the energy performance certificate. Now the property information questionnaire, or rather from the 6th of April, the property information questionnaire, local search, water and drainage search, and where the property is unregistered, you need to provide details of the unregistered title. And where the property is leasehold, in addition to everything I've just mentioned, you need a copy of the lease. Now there are three important exceptions to the requirement to have all the component parts of the HIP in place from day one, and that is for local searches, water and drainage search, and the unregistered title information. It's sufficient if those documents are placed with the HIP within 28 days of the first day of marketing. Provided they're put with the HIP within 28 days, then you're fine. You must have applied for the local search, or rather the solicitor, whoever is applying for the search, must have put in the application for the local search and the drainage and water search before the property goes on the market. And a statement to that effect should probably go into the index. So when you look through the index of HIP documents, it should say something like local authority search to follow, applied for on whatever date it is that it's been applied for. It's worth mentioning, I think, the rules on how old, or rather how recent, those documents must be. They don't have to be absolutely bang up to date. The local authority search must be as at the date of the first date of marketing, must be not more than 3 months old. Also, the water and drainage search must be not more than 3 months old. The energy performance certificate, interestingly, the rules used to say that the EPC had to be not less than 1 year old. It's now sufficient if the EPC came into existence in the last 3 years. So there's been a relaxation there. I think the only other thing to mention with the new rules, the ones that are coming in on the 6th of April 2009, are that you now have to have complete local authority searches. I think I'm right in saying that it was permissible to put an incomplete local search with the HIP, provided it had some insurance cover. You now have to provide a full local search. That doesn't mean it can't be a personal search. It can be a personal search, but all the relevant bits of the search need to have been completed. Of course, you won't have any problem anyway with official searches. That is searches that are produced by the local authority, because they will always be complete anyway, or I've never known one that isn't complete. So the safest bet is probably, unless there are compelling reasons to go for a personal search, I suspect the best bet is still to go for an official search, although I guess that will be the decision of the solicitor in most cases after taking instructions from his client. I'm assuming that for the time being it is likely to be the solicitor who puts the HIP together. You just need to remember that it needs to be in your possession before the property can go on the market. And I think that's all I want to say. So with a cheery wave, I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm going to invite you to ring me if you have any questions. Bye-bye.